Joining us on today's show is Landen Barns, a baseball played for the Palm Springs Power in the California Winter League season, where he played 17 games, batting .423 with 22 hits and 13 RBIs. Landen is looking forward to this upcoming baseball season as he's signed with the United Shore Professional Baseball League in Utica, Michigan. Landen, thanks for coming on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks, fellas.
Now, Landen, tell us about your experience this season in the California Winter League. What was that like?
It was a blast. I've been out there the past couple summers, and being in the Palm Spring desert area, it gets kind of hot, and so it actually was a nice change and refreshing pace to waking up every day and it be sunny and 75 with some snow-capped mountains right behind you. It was beautiful.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, it's California. It's the land of dreams, right?
Absolutely.
And now your father played Double-A in Palm Springs. So was there something special about going to Palm Springs as a baseball player for you?
Yeah, actually there was. So right after my junior year of college, I got an invite to go play in the developmental league, the Palm Springs Collegiate League. And at that time, my sister was in San Diego, only 2 hours away, and she was pregnant with my niece. And then growing up, I always heard that Dad played baseball out in Palm Springs, and I figured, close to family, and then I have a chance to play at the same place my dad played way back when, and that was pretty exciting for me just to be able to essentially walk in the same shoes he did out on that field.
Mm-hmm. Now you're a guy who plays a lot of positions. What's your favorite position to play?
Anywhere besides the bench.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer.
But if I had to choose, probably third base, just because the past 4 years at college, I spent a hefty amount of time there, and that's where I spent a lot of the summer too, and the majority of the winter. So I'd have to pick third.
Now you say you're a guy that is happy to play anywhere but the bench, and you proved that. You played for the California Winter League for the Palm Springs Power. What was that like, getting thrown into right field?
That was actually the first 7 innings I've played in the outfield in my life. So, that was actually kind of interesting. Our manager walked up to me that day and said, "Hey, when's the last time you played outfield?" And I looked at him and I said, "Yesterday, coach." And he obviously knew that was a lie because I had an off day the day before, but I was gonna lie and bluff my way through like I knew what I was doing out there. And I figured that if I can play outfield, catch a fly ball, at least get the ball in quick, that's just another 3 different spots that I can add to the repertoire of me being able to play baseball.
For sure. You play all these positions. You say you don't really practice too much the outfield, but for the infield, you spend most of your time at third. Do you just kind of let your natural athleticism take over when you get shifted to first or catcher, or do you practice those a little bit as well?
There are certain things that that the natural athletic instinct kind of takes over, and then like you mentioned, first base or catcher, there are some things that you kind of learn by trial and error for the next couple times you play. Like excuse me, my junior and senior year, I did play a little bit of first base, and although catching the ball is, we're taught that in growing up with t-ball and coach pitch and whatever, the footwork I found was a little struggle for me to master. But once you figured it out, it kind of stays with you for a little bit. Same as catching. I haven't caught all too much in college. I caught my freshman year. But just kind of getting back in the groove of things. That first inning that I caught was a little hesitant with everything, and then the second inning I felt more comfortable, more relaxed, and more controlled back there.
For sure. I would imagine it'd be a difficult adjustment because all of a sudden you'd be calling signs and everything, and a whole new aspect to the game.
Yeah, just a little bit, but at the same time, it's exciting because you kind of get to put yourself in a new headspace per position, and I always just found that kind of interesting.
Yeah, it would bring a lot more that you'd be able to learn, bring to your game for sure.
Absolutely.
Now, where were you batting in the lineup for the Palm Springs Power?
For the power, I was primarily a 3-hole hitter.
Is that where you like to be?
Yeah, I don't mind that. In college, I batted 5-hole, and we had a very strong 1 through 5, and I really enjoyed that 5-hole, and yeah, I really enjoy the 3-hole. It really doesn't matter to me where I am at in the lineup, just as long as I'm 1 through 9 somewhere, and just doing something to help the team productively.
Mm-hmm. Now we found an article on the Palm Springs Power website, and you were talking about your recent signing with the United Shore Professional Baseball League, and you had said a few interesting things in that article, and you talked about Coach Casey Dill and how he impacted your game. Can you talk us through your relationship with Casey?
Yeah, my relationship with Casey is pretty close. Like I said a couple years ago, I was out in the collegiate league, and I had a couple of roommates who did pretty well, who got called up to the Power that year, and then he ended up signing me to the playoff roster, and I got a few spot starts for that team at the last half of the season, and I ended up doing pretty well. And then at the end of the season, I emailed him and said, "Hey, I got an honest question. Do you think there is opportunity for me to play outside of college baseball?" And he said, "Of the little games that I saw you play, I honestly do believe there's something there. If you don't get drafted, come back, you can play for the Power." So as we know, I didn't get drafted, and I ended up coming out for the Power. And he was very he was a very easygoing manager, meaning that he wasn't going to put too much pressure on us to get things done, because there comes a point in time when players get older that we all know what to do. We all know the situations, and there's nothing he can really do or say to make us succeed. He just put it straightforward. If we don't succeed, I mean, unfortunately, he's going to find someone who can. So he has always been there helping me find another spot to play outside of college and outside the Power. And he actually recommended me to the Winter League and said, "I promise you there's going to be someone that's going to take note of how you play and what you do." So he really recommended the Winter League. And, I thank him a lot for the Power and then coming out to the Winter League, because I wouldn't be where I am today without him.
That's awesome. Now walk us through a day in the life at the Winter League. Like what's the schedule like for players?
So there are 3 games a day, typically 3 games a day. You have a 9:30, a 10 o'clock, and then 11 game. So the 9:30 and the 11 game will be on the main field. The 10 o'clock game will be on the auxiliary field right behind right field. And so we're instructed to get there an hour before our game. So let's say we have an 11 o'clock game. Players will arrive whenever, but no later than an hour before the game. We'll eat lunch if it's provided. We'll take BP in a batting cage. And then once the previous game ends, then we have about 30 minutes of stretch, getting warm, getting loose until the start of our game. And then games only last about 7 innings out there. And then once you're done, you change, you go back to the villas. You maybe grab a bite to eat, hang out with some teammates, go downtown, just waste some time, fall asleep, and do it all again the next day.
That sounds awesome. Now, what's it like living with your teammates? Like, how does that help the team chemistry?
Some guys live with teammates. Some guys live with other guys from other teams. I know. I actually lived with a pitcher, Austin Rubrick, and then I lived with a Lumberjacks outfielder, Matt Feinstein, and it was a blast. We were super close. We did a lot of things together. We always joked. Actually, our last game, I got a hit off of my roommate. My last hit, I got a hit off the roommate. As I'm running down first base line, I yelled at him, "Ha!"
That's
and
awesome.
I got to first base, and he looked at me with a big old smile on his face. And the umpire said, "Hey, man, none of that." And I looked at the umpire, said, "That's my roommate." He said, "Oh, well, then that's okay." So I mean, it's just You play each other so many times, and you see everybody throughout the villas. There are a couple of guys who you don't really talk to all that much, and then throughout the month that you're there, you become close with everybody throughout all the teams.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I would think it would almost become a brotherhood down there with the amount of time you spend together.
It is actually, yeah. You find out a lot of interesting things about people, where they're from, what they do, where they went to college.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it's just meeting different people from around the United States and essentially around the world with some people.
Now, how did you find entering into the Winter League, the competition? Because I mean, you did pretty batting .423 as we mentioned earlier.
I mean, a lot of it goes to my approach. I figured out through a lot of failure that I'm not necessarily a power hitter. If I do get a hold of one, it's a happy accident. So a lot of my approach is knowing what to do, or like how to hit the baseball. So kind of for me, a lot of it is just trial and error. And then when you meet guys like my roommate, who is a former Brewer organization pitcher, and then you face some guys that same as me, got out of college looking for a place to play. It's just finding that little matchup here and there to be successful.
Say goodbye to bad hair days once for all with On Point Pomade. Whether you're looking for a timeless shine with an all-day hold or a natural finish with an irresistible fresh cologne scent, On Point Pomade will take your hair to the next level. Use discount code BGT10 for 10% off your entire purchase at onpointpomade.com.
Now, you've just recently signed with the United Shore Professional Baseball League, stationed in Utica, Michigan. It's a blanket contract right now, as far as I understand it. So, like, they own all the teams, and they're kind of yet to assign you to a team. What's that process like?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up on this end. Can you repeat that question?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. So you just got signed to United Shore Professional Baseball League, stationed in Utica, Michigan, and it's a blanket contract, which, as far as I understand, means like you're not sure which team you're going to be on yet. When do you kind of figure that out?
I actually got a call from one of the ladies who organizes it, and she does all the housing. And I asked her, and she did tell me, in fact, that I was on the west side Woolly Mammoths. So I don't know if that's different from other people, how they figure out what team they're on. But I know I got a call, and I just flat out asked.
Okay, very cool. And walk us through, like, what's that league kind of like? What are you expecting to find when you go to Michigan?
I don't know, which is exciting and scary at the same time. I do know they play 3 games a week, whether it be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and whatever. I know I almost kind of got to hit the ground running, because once I get there for spring training, April 25th, roster cuts are May 3rd, the very next week. So
they don't waste any time.
Not at all. Which I said earlier is like happy, scary almost, because I know I gotta essentially hit the ground running, and just come out swinging. Hoping that something falls, hoping I'm hitting everything hard, hoping I'm making every play, and just hustling whenever I can.
And it looks like this organization too tries to help push you towards being signed with an MLB organization. I see on their website they have 36 former players from this league have signed with an MLB organization. So it looks like they kind of help you move towards that.
Yeah. So, I mean, what I've heard, yeah, exactly correct. They're on the younger side of league age, as you could say. But a lot of stuff they're doing the other 4 days of the week that they're not playing is very productive towards players essentially moving out of the league.
So what will it be like to, because this is in Michigan, and then you've only really played close to home. What will it be like being so far away from home?
Honestly, it's kind of exciting. I like the travel. Other than the 20-hour road trip I have to face in about a month and a half. Yeah, it's unique. I'm only 23, and last summer I drove all the way out to California, and this summer this season I have to drive all the way up to Michigan. So I mean, it's driving places I've never driven before and just seeing parts of the um country that I haven't ever really seen, just only in textbooks and whatever. So I mean, getting able to see it single-handedly and make my way up to Michigan, hopefully catch a Tigers game or drive down the short few hours to Chicago or anywhere near and around that area is going to be pretty interesting because like I said, I've never experienced it, so everything will be new to me.
Sure, that'll be awesome, and you're at the perfect age to be doing it while you're still young.
Absolutely. Got no wife, I got no girlfriend, I can do whatever.
For sure. Now, if we could take a step back too, you went to East Texas Baptist University. What was the decision-making process there? Why did you choose that school?
I chose that school because that was the only school that wanted me to go and play baseball.
I guess that makes an easy decision for you.
Absolutely.
Now, it looks like you performed pretty well there too. So what was the experience like there?
It was a cool experience. My freshman, sophomore year, I had a couple of older guys I could look up to, which benefited me because I still stay in contact with several of them today. And then junior year, I was telling you, I kind of failed to realize that I'm not one of those guys that's going to carry the teams with a lot of home runs. I'm one of those guys that's going to get on and move runners around and be on base for the guys that do hit home runs to score. So, trial and error, a lot of thanks to the guys before me for helping, teaching, and leading a great way, and just kind of left it the way they taught me so I could teach the younger class when I got there.
Yeah. So you were talking about how you shifted from somebody who's like kind of hitting for power and then hitting for contact. Like, was there any changes you made to your swing along that way?
Not so much changes to my swing. I tried to keep everything relatively the same throughout my 4 years of school. Just kind of the mental approach.
Mm-hmm.
That primarily changed. Instead of trying to be the guy that hits it 400 feet over the fence, I was trying to be that guy that hits it hard, just in a gap somewhere. I'm not a huge launch angle guy. I'm more of a hit something hard and good things will happen. So I'm just trying to literally knock someone's head off when I swing the bat.
That's awesome. And really, that mental adjustment you made really served you well, as in your senior season, 405.
Yeah,
with 41 RBIs on 64 hits.
Yeah, it really did. Something my college coach told me. He called me in his office after fall or our senior year, and he said, when you stick to an approach, you are one of the best hitters in conference. He says, however, he said with a smile on his face, when you don't, he said, you're not very good. And I laughed, and I had to agree with him because I didn't really have a very productive previous 3 years, and that really stuck with me and something I worked. The winter going into my senior season, I stuck with an approach, knew what kind of guy I was, and it's happy to say that everything clicked. Just wish it could have clicked a few years sooner.
Mm.
Now going into the United Shore Professional Baseball League, now you say that the cuts are for May 5th. So my understanding is that you're unsure still, like, if you're going to make this league, or are you on a guaranteed contract there?
So everybody that signs out of the California Winter League signs to a spring training invite.
Okay.
So I mean, I don't want to be that guy that comes in all positive, like, yeah, I made the team, but in the United Shores, they only carry a 19-man roster per team, only because they play 3 games a week. So being a guy that can take up multiple positions, things kind of look up for me. However, I still have to earn a spot at one of those positions.
For sure. And I mean, you're right there. Playing different positions does really carve out a roster spot for you because you can play anywhere.
Especially with the 19-man roster, if one guy can play multiple spots, that allows them to take another guy somewhere.
Mm-hmm. And not to mention, I mean, you feel ball really well. Like wherever you go, whether it be in university or in the California leagues, you have excellent fielding percentage wherever you go.
I appreciate that. Thank you. I mean, I just try to kind of keep it simple. Ball touches leather. I just try and get it and throw the guy out.
Mm-hmm.
Which side of the ball do you have the most fun playing? Was it hitting or playing defense?
Oh, that's a tough question. I honestly don't know if I can pick, because defense is fun. It's challenging in its own ways. But I really like showing off my arm and my glove when I can. And then at the same time, like I love kind of almost how difficult hitting is at times. I love being able to, obviously when I'm doing well, I love hitting. When I'm not doing well, I really hate hitting.
Fair enough.
But I just like how it's you versus a pitcher. He's 60 feet away. As soon as the ball leaves his hands, there's nothing he can do about it. And as soon as the ball leaves your bat, there's nothing you can do about it. But the preparation before the swing and into the swing determines what happens to the baseball.
That's a great way of putting it. Now, you spoke about how fun it is to kind of flash the leather. I think it was the final out of the California Winter League this season in the championship game. You made a pretty nice diving play. I think we're going to show that clip right now on the YouTube. Walk us through what that play was like, if you remember it.
I remember the ball was hit to my left, and at that field, I played up on the grass the entire time because spending 2.5 years out there, you learn the ins and outs of the infield, and that there's a really bad lip right before third base. So I always played at the lip, which gave me an advantage, I felt, rather than other guys who didn't know. So that ball was hit to my left, and I'm thinking, I'm just going to try and get it. So I dove for it. It happened to be in my glove. And then I'm not going to lie to you, it kind of was a blur. And then I realized the ball was already out of my hand. And then as soon as I saw it leave my hand, I thought it was going to go wide right, and I almost threw it in the dugout. But it turns out to be a pretty decent throw. And then, it was just everyone was around me, and I was excited because, we won. And it was just exciting. And I can't really put into too many words on what I was thinking because I literally thought, ooh, ball, get it.
Now going forward here as you join the United Shore League, and now I assume that you're going to be hoping to be looked at by MLB organizations, the scouts and everything going into this league. If you could say to a team that's looking at you, what makes you special? What makes you somebody that will fit into their organization? What would you say?
I don't know if I would say too much because other than the fact that I can play multiple positions, being an everyday starter is great, but at the same time, when we're talking about a professional level, I wouldn't even mind being that utility guy that plays once every couple of days when guys need a rest or guys are hurt. That's kind of something my dad did, and when he was playing, and a lot of the upper management liked that he was just able to be that guy and play every fourth, fifth day, whatever, and just fill in for a spot here and there, and do well enough to where the team didn't miss a beat when he was in versus when the other guy was in.
That's awesome. That's a good mindset to have when you're trying to make it. And I like to, if I understand here, that you almost want to let your play do the talking too as well.
Absolutely. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
that's exactly it.
And your play definitely has talked to us so far. So, Landen Barns, thank you for coming on the show. This was a really fantastic interview, and we're going to be watching your career with great interest. Good luck in the United Shore Baseball League. We're really excited to see what you are able to put out on the field.
I appreciate that. I appreciate the call, and I appreciate the interview. Best of luck with the podcast, guys. Hope it all goes well.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for watching that YouTube clip, which was taken from our full show, Big Game Talk with Brad and Chris. If you want to check out the show and give it a listen, you can find us wherever you find your podcasts. And if you want to watch some more YouTube clips where we talk about all your favorite sports, click any of these boxes here or check the link in the description. Thanks and have a great day.